Rare champions are one of the most interesting things in Raid Shadow Legends because as you progress further and further in the game, the more and more the rare champions suck, but not all of them. Some rare champions can be useful even in endgame content. Today, I'm going to talk about my favorite rare champions in all of Raid Shadow Legends. And guys, you don't even have to start your account with rare champions. You can start off with free legendaries, free epics. Let me tell you guys how. Log out of your Polarium Play on your PC, or if you've never had Raid installed on your phone, go ahead and install using the link in the description. After clicking the link in the description, use a brand new email to register for Polarium Play. Then go ahead and launch Raid, complete the tutorial as normal, and then go to your inbox and claim your first champion. Here we go, guys. You'll find Elderil in your inbox, and as you level up 10, 20, 30, you'll find some amazing epic champions like Ugo and Rector Giraffe as you level up your account in your inbox. This is an amazing way to start your Raid account, so click that link down there in the description and get started today. So let's go ahead and let's hop into this list of my favorite rare champions. And if you're a mid to late game player, some of these are gonna make the most obvious sense ever. But if you're new to the game, it's good to know these things because you might summon one and not know how strong they really are. Let's hop into it. The first one we're going to talk about here today is one of my personal favorites, a Void rare that if you're lucky enough to pull her, she can help you out in so many dungeons early on. With her Heart Seeker ability, she's able to deal out massive damage, but also decrease the enemy's turn meter. With this, she also only needs a 70% crit rate to deal a critical hit. This makes her really, really strong, and she can output so much damage in the game. Build her with tons and tons of crit damage, get her up to about that 70% crit rate mark, and you can deal out massive amounts of damage. One of my favorite spots to use Cold Heart is against the Fire Knight, because after you break that shield, you can really control his turn meter and allow him to not get very many turns, if at all any turns. Check this out. Once we cycle through here and we get everyone going, those Heart Seekers are going to land, and there goes his turn meter. This is Fire Knight 20, and this is a dungeon that's going to help you out with a lot of late game gear, especially like that crit damage gear, savage gear. And it's very, very key to have champions like Cold Heart on your team to drain that turn meter and not allow this guy to get that shield back up. Look at that massive blow. And this is exactly why I like running Cold Hearts. Not only on Fire Knight, but against Spider, against Dragon, pretty much against all the bosses, they can be very, very useful. And that's exactly why I love Cold Heart. I want to change tones with two Void rares. A lot of these rares that are good are Void. It's kind of interesting there. But two of the best farmers in the game. I still use these, even though I have some crazy champions on my account. I still use these rare farmers. The first one being Fellhound. Yeah, little Fellhound. The reason Fellhound is so good is on the A1, attack all enemies, 25% chance of decreased speed, but he can deal out some nice damage here. The attack all enemies is what you're really looking for. I got him in a lifesteal set, builds up with a decent amount of crit damage on the crit rate there. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like, this is a really obtainable early game build in my opinion. I mean, 2300 attack, 3800 defense, 100 crit rate with 167% crit damage. This is a very obtainable build. But with this build, you can quickly farm Brutal 12-3, Brutal 12-6, and level up that food. Like I said, this is still the farmer I use on my main account daily, just because he's so good at getting through here. Yeah, sometimes he has to two-shot that last wave right there, but most of the time we get through it. But also, if you just increase his attack, increase his crit rate, or crit damage rather, you'll be good. That's why I like the Fellhound. But let's talk about another farmer, and that's the big man Bellower. Bellower is so good. Bellower was my farmer for a long time. I switched over to the Hound just because it's a little bit quicker on the animation. I actually probably got to get my Hound rebuilt a little bit because I've stolen some gear off him. That's why we get that last wave, sometimes two hitting. But again, attack all enemies on that first attack, and that's what makes him good. Another really easy champion to build, you want to build him with attack. Let's just throw some random gloves. Do we have some crit damage gloves on him? Yeah, let's just throw some crit damage gloves on him. I'll show you guys him in action as well. 12-3, 12-6, this is where I like to farm, and you can see he just gets right on through there. Yeah, it's nice. But two really good, if you can get your hands on them, early game farmers, I mean late game farmers, they're just gonna help you just destroy content, farm up some food. This is what you need to progress a little bit in Raid, is you need a consistent farmer. Fellhound and Bellower, two of my faves. All right, let's get off the Void rares. Let's talk about Apothecary. One of the best early game turn boosters you can get your hands on. He's really solid early game if you get him like before Arbiter and stuff like that, especially like in the arena. Places a 30% increased speed and fills turn meter by 15%. So he's going to help you go faster in the game. Along with that, he has a 35% heal that can be critical. So he's a really nice healer, really nice booster early game in Raid Shadow Legends. This one, if you get your hands on him, worth definitely upgrading and investing in, just because that turn meter boost is so key. Another early game rare I really like is War Maiden. War Maiden can output a ton of damage, attacks all enemies on the A3, 75% chance of placing big boy, decreased defense on her, so she can really output some nice damage. And along with that, she has an increased attack buff on her when she's attacking with her A2, and places an extra hit when critical. The extra hit cannot be critical, but she can really output a lot of damage early game. Then she has a chance of poisoning. I mean, we get a lot of like legendaries and epics and really strong champions, but War Maiden should not be slept on. If you pull one early, just really doing some damage control with that A3 and also weakening up the teams as well. Next, I'm going to talk about a couple utility champions. These might not be the best for early game, but personal favorites of mine because they've helped me clear some parts of the games I was struggling on. Painkeepers. I have 3 Painkeepers built because they helped out with my Iron Twins teams until I got a stronger one. And the best thing about the Painkeeper Iron Twins build is you really don't have to build them crazy. I also use them other places as well. But the nice thing with the Painkeeper is the A3 decreases cooldowns of all ally skills by 1 turn. So it's going to allow you to use those skills more often. The other stuff, it's okay, but really, if you're using Painkeeper, it's for that A3 to decrease cooldowns. And this is one team I was using with the Painkeepers. We have 3 Painkeepers in here with Geo and Roshguard. And basically, they just help make sure that Roshguard's going to be able to protect the whole team throughout here. It's a really easy team to build. You really just need an unkillable champion or a block damage champion there, like Roshguard. It's block damage. That's what it is. I don't run this team anymore, to be clear. I'm running a different team, but this did help me with Iron Suns for the longest team, especially if you have Geomancer in there putting out the HP burns and the damage output. So Painkeeper's a little bit of a utility troop right there. They have a lot of good uses within Raid Shadow Legends. Another utility rare that I really like is Renegade, another void. It seems like we got a lot of voids on this list, but decreases the cooldown of all ally skills by 2 turns. Yeah, 2 turns on here. And I like running her in wave clearing teams. Like she pairs really well with a Seer. Like if you have Seer clearing out waves and dungeon content, Renegade pairs really well. One of my favorite uses of this combination is here in Ice Golem content. So you can see we drop everything in there, hit the Karma Burn to drop everyone down, and you'll see we're going to work through here and everyone's going to take their turn. But when Renegade takes their turn, Renegade's going to go ahead and reset those skills so we can go ahead and get that Karma Burn again. So another utility troop in there helps out with clearing those waves on the dungeons. It's really nice to have that and available. But again, this might not be as good early game for some of you guys out there, but I wanted to point it out because this is a champion I've invested in and used quite a bit. I mean, this is on my Ice Golem team and I still use it to this day. So I wanted to point that out. Let's see if we can get this guy down. Come on, Acrisia, go smack him. Sometimes Acrisia does weird things here where she'll attack the minions. There we go. Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's not too bad. I mean, 45-second Ice Golem 20, we'll take it. A champion that I loved when she came out, which was a long time ago when I was playing, was Frost Banshee. She introduced the poison sensitivity, which makes enemies take more damage from poison, also places poison in there. Placing her with a Kale with his poisons can be really good from early games. So if you get like a Frozen Banshee Kale combination or a poison combination, can really help out with some of those bosses. So I definitely think Frozen Banshee and Kale, that combination, I mean, Kale is one of the starters, can definitely be a good little combination to kind of honorable mention in here. Not necessarily some that I use to this day, but I think earlier game content, I think they can help you out quite a bit. All right, this isn't because they're useful or anything. It's just because they're super obtainable. Diabolist and Houndspawn are my favorites because they're free 3-stars that you can get from campaign farming and make into food. I thought that was worthwhile mentioning because as you are farming your champions and farming your food up, you can get more free food, and who doesn't like free rares, right? I mean, I just feed them into other champions, but I thought it was worth mentioning. All right, this champion I've never personally used, another void rare. I know we've harped on this voice, but I've came across these teams in the arena that can be really annoying, these Paragon teams. And what makes them really unique and good is they place a 2-turn unkillable and increase attack for 2 turns, and you can book that down to a 2-turn cooldown. So it makes it so you can essentially have unkillable on your team forever. And I've seen just Paragons that just stay in there and just really make you annoying. Rotos obviously will deal with it really nicely, but I wanted to mention Paragon because they can be a little bit of a trolly champion to have inside the arena, but I'm sure they have uses in other parts of the game, just not one I've ever really invested in. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's a ton of other useful rares in here. Let me know down there in the comments some of your favorite rares inside of Raid Shadow Legends, because I've kind of been past the point of using rares for a while, but on the free-to-play, I feel like with Ancients, I'm hoping the next summoning event is 2x Ancients. I feel like we're going to be pulling some of those rares. So if there's anyone I should be keeping my eye out for, let me know down there in the comment section. You guys help me out a little bit, but I just wanted to point out some of my favorites I use on my main account. Even in some of those endgame dungeon contents, it's kind of cool there to have some rares still doing some heavy lifting. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.